This message is for Disney out there. Zoom in a little bit. If you make another animated movie and it hits my emotions and I start tearing up, I swear. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JBuck Studios, your home for reviews, reactions, and of course, ridiculousness. And we're jumping over and checking out a movie a little bit early. It's coming out this Friday. A big shout out to you, Disney, for hooking me up with a screener. And it's an action-packed one, Raya and the Last Dragon. 500 years after evil decimated humanity, a lone warrior goes on an adventure to track down the last dragon and stop the evil for good. So is Raya and the Last Dragon a wonderful, beautiful, action-packed Disney movie that you, yes you, need to watch this weekend? Let's find out. But before I get into my thoughts, let me know what you thought of Raya and the Last Dragon if you've already seen it. Very much looking forward to it and what your hype level essentially is for this new Disney movie. Now let's get into some of the good. Okay, so Raya and the Last Dragon was nothing short of an action-packed, beautiful, gorgeous, delightful movie. I'm going to get into all of that in a little bit. The one thing that I thought was just the coolest part of this movie was the lore and the world and everything that is happening in this world from the beginning to the middle to the end and how it essentially evolves throughout this. I compared this movie with Horizon Zero Dawn, where there's lush forest, there's frozen wasteland, there's a desert, there's a big up-and-coming city and fancy pants, and then there's this other kind of rundown, just street market type city as well. Like the different lands, the different worlds, the different parts of this world that they set up each had a distinct feel, distinct look, distinct color palette, and music that accompanied all of that. So I loved how we weaved through all of these different characters and the different costume styles, the weapon styles, the way that they just looked throughout this world. I absolutely enjoyed, because going throughout this world with Raya and the pals that she runs into, this does feel like kind of an RPG video game type movie of going through, getting more skills, bringing more people into your party, essentially going off and fighting the big old bad boss or evil presence in this movie, in this world and whatnot. So Raya, man, the world and lore that they put into this I thought was so gosh darn great. But the characters, like, again, they bring in all of these wacky, weird, different dynamics and characters and voice talent for these characters, and I thought each of them really set their part up in a distinct fashion and style and flavor that, again, brought in the chemistry and different dynamics of this group by the end of the movie. So man, everything right there was so great. But the animation, the gorgeous texture, lighting, look, I mean, I touched on it a little bit when we're going into all of these different lands and the costuming and whatnot, but there are straight up so many screenshots of this movie that I would just put up on my wall, because not only is it action-packed, it's gorgeous, it is framed perfectly what they did here in the animation department from Disney, but my God, the lighting effects through certain scenes, specifically the ending where it gets very much action-packed, I was just in awe watching this movie, because animation is slowly getting to a level that is so gosh darn crisp, and you know, you crank it up a little bit more and it's like, oh my gosh, this is real life and whatnot. So I loved the settings because they were so lush and detailed, but the characters, like there's a few times where it's a close-up on the character and I was just looking at the detail of kind of the armband, the different weapons, the hairstyles, and little pieces of things that they had in their hair, because it is down to the most minuscule of detail here in this movie. So my God, so good. Oh, and one other thing that I completely forgot about the animation when I was talking about it is the differing styles. There's something that they do here with kind of exposition or flashbacks or kind of explaining a plan, and they flip the animation just a little bit, almost into this cel-shaded kind of flavor, and it contrasts against what we're seeing so darn well, where obviously you're like, oh, this isn't real life, this is more of kind of like an explainer thing, but I liked what they did of setting those two animations apart. And the one thing that really tied all of this together, really stitched this world, the characters, the lore, the animation together for me, was the music. Because it had, again, like I compared earlier to kind of an RPG video game type through line of this movie, the music was distinct to all of the different lands, but it really ramps up when the action is taking place, but it also has like these hints of epic cinematic flair with a little bit of almost like techno synth music in there as well. Like, again, I am watching these action set pieces take place, or a character escape from an enemy, and I'm like, this reminds me of a video game. This reminds me of Horizon Zero Dawn. This reminds me of kind of going in a crypt in Tomb Raider, or raiding a tomb, essentially. Like, those two different flavors. I'm curious on how much influence, not only from the story, the animation, but the music in this movie, because that is one thing that usually I'm just like, oh, that fits the scene well. I was like, that is very distinct. That is unique. That is something that we haven't really felt in a Disney animated movie so far. Like, I loved the music here. And just a few small things that just really stood out to me that I loved was Raya, the character, but the weapon that she had. A sword that turns into like a sword blade chain thing. Again, very much like video game-esque. The little tiny weird different things that they put into, especially with the dragons and how they animated them, and the different kind of powers and unique things that each of them had. I love that little kind of sprinkle, that cherry on top in this Raya film. Getting into the negatives or the cons for Raya and the Last Dragon, honestly, I don't have that many. If anything, it's a few little tiny nitpicks with some of the dialogue, obviously the script, and jokes that just did not land for myself. I'm sure people are going to find them funny. For myself, they just didn't land. And unfortunately, a decent portion of those things that didn't work were coming from Awkwafina's character. Again, she's funny, she's a great character. I loved her voice talent, but I think some of the jokes kind of fell flat for myself. Overall, Raya and the Last Dragon is this sprawling adventure, beautiful movie from Disney. With it, again, nailing that world lore for myself, all of the little tiny detail in there, from the swords, the weapons, the costuming, the animation, the color profiles, the music, everything in this movie really landed for myself. With a few little nitpicks here or there, I would highly, people out there, zoom in a little bit, highly recommend checking out Raya and the Last Dragon this Friday, or over on Disney Plus, whichever one you feel comfortable with, because this is an action-packed, beautiful, another knock out of the park for Disney. In closing, I'm going to give Raya and the Last Dragon 4.4 out of 5 wondrous dragons. So what did you all think of Raya and the Last Dragon? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you even more excited to check out this movie this Friday in the movie theaters or on Disney Plus for a fee? I want to know in the comments down below. Anyways, though, as always, thank you so much for watching. Watch some more videos up there or right over there. You know, brand new content every single week here on the JBuck Studios channel. More stuff coming out this week. The final episode of WandaVision on Friday, so stay tuned for all of that. Follow my social media, including my TikTok. I'm doing some fun things over there. Like this video, subscribe to the JBuck Studios channel, and until next time, we'll see you later.